are listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and its satanic can't go into churches without vomiting.
You know, I often wonder, Alex,
Mm-hmm.
if that really scares people away from listening or watching the show. I really do. I've often wondered that, several times, especially when new people come on the show and they hear that intro and go, wow, what are we getting ourselves into here? So I want to thank everybody who's tuned in on the New Visions Radio Network and, of course, watching us here on YouTube. And well, we figured we'd do a follow up from Friday night's bonus show. We did if you haven't watched it, we just kind of did a bonus show on the scariest places to investigate. That I've been to and Alex has been to, and well, our returning guest Jeff has been to a lot of places too, from the huge province of Quebec.
Yeah, the huge half populated.
Well, we could say that about Ontario too, right? I mean, look at we're all like gravitating to the border, and that's it.
Yeah, near the bodies of water. Thank you for having me again, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, we
no
had
problem, man.
Yeah, we had a fun time last time.
Yeah, we did.
It was great, and I figured, hey, we're gonna do this. We'll do a part 2, and hey, why not?
Thank you so much.
We are supposed to have. Look!
Speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil. Late, but always here to show, Mr. Richard Palmisano.
Richard.
How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good evening.
Richard, meet Jeff. Jeff, that's Richard.
Hey.
Good evening, Richard.
Nice to meet you.
Richard, Jeff. Jeff is based in Quebec there. Trois-Rivières, right?
Exactly, yes. Trois-Rivières, yes, exactly.
My French isn't the best, even though I'm French. God. Ugh. How we doing this evening there, Richard?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's new and exciting? Come on, there's got to be something exciting. Come on.
It's always exciting stuff. Working on some projects, getting the final edits done on the new book.
Oh yeah, you have a new book in the works.
When's that coming out, Richard?
Yeah.
They're telling me August of 25.
We're gonna have to wait that long. Come on.
Cool.
Can't you give us a Cole's Notes version?
Yeah, Cole's Note.
Well, we're getting that done and working on the next one.
Yeah, I'm working on the next one. Already, man. A man hard at work. I don't know how you do it. I like I said, I started and I don't know, man. I can't gravitate to. I don't know. I think my attention span is like completely shot.
Attention span of a gnat.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I told you, give me a call, and I'll help you. It's I know what you're going through. It's you're standing way back and you're looking at the project and you're going, it's too big. I can't do this. But you got to take a little piece, a little chunk, and hammer it out, make it nice, and then move on to the next little piece. And then at the end of the project, you've got like 200 pieces, and then you shuffle them all together, and next thing you know, it's done.
That's a lot of pieces. That's
a lot of pieces. Yeah, that's a lot of pieces. But
that's a lot.
I couldn't do it either. I know a couple of authors, and I work with image, and I'm a good speaker, but I can't write.
Well, you've already got 2 of the 3 things, right? You're a good speaker, and you've got good imagery.
Yes.
Now, what you have to do is take that imagery, and then you have to describe it in a verbal way, in writing, and then you're done. You got a book. You just have to find something you're passionate about, and then write it.
What happens if you don't have good imagery or a good speaker like me?
Well, there's always pickleball.
Pickleball. Alex, maybe we should co-author or collaborate on how to escape the evil cabal.
Sure.
There is no escaping.
No.
Oh,
Oh. So, anyways, Richard, Friday night we did a bonus show on some of the scariest locations that we've been to investigate.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, I did see if you wanted to, but unfortunately, but hey, I figured, hey, well, we're doing a second part. Let's see if Richard'd like to come on. And
Yeah.
I know you can share some locations that you've been to that you've been blown away. And Jeff, let me tell you, this guy is like, we're talking about what, 48 years?
45 this September.
45 years of investigating the paranormal and researching it. This guy is, wow.
and he's only 46.
He's,
He started in the womb.
yeah.
Well, you have to start early. I started being interested early, but I didn't really, like. I did my first EVP test. I think I was 15 years old because I saw on television they were doing it on the big reels.
Oh, yeah.
The real, yeah.
So I went to grab that cassette, that tape recorder, grabbed a brand new cassette, popped it in, and pressed record in the brand new house of my parents.
Did you get anything? Anything? Any results?
Nothing. Nothing.
Were you kind of nervous though? Were you kind of nervous that, oh man, what am I?
Well,
find
listening to the tape, I will be honest. My heart was pounding because I was eager to have something. I wanted to have something, but
Hey, you don't know. It's a good try. I mean, new houses don't mean anything. I've seen new houses that are haunted.
Well, yeah. I mean, this place. Well, this isn't a new house now. It's 20 years old, but this place has been full of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And yet I've been I don't know, I've been hesitant to to see what I find. I've seen things unfold, but
once you start, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. See, I don't investigate where I live.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless I have no option, unless I'm,
Well,
it gets
yeah.
so bad I put in a corner. But once they see that you have an interest and you're willing to do that, communication and stuff, you open those doors, man, and then it gets worse. Right?
This is why I'm waiting until we're ready to move out of this house, and then I'm gonna do an EVP session here.
Yeah, well, that's
Alex, this should be a Ouija board session.
Come on over and we'll do it.
Record it. Make sure you got cameras trained on it and the whole 9 yards.
I want to do it with Richard.
There you go, Richard.
sure. Yeah, man. No problem.
Go out with a bang. Go with a bang.
When we come see you, Richard, I'll bring my Ouija board with me.
Where, at my place? Yeah,
Yeah.
don't bother. You know how many Ouija boards I've had? And I bought them specifically for an investigation.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I just toss them in the garbage. I get rid of them.
You didn't want them hanging around, right?
No, I don't bring them home with me. You kidding?
You didn't want any of that residual stuff.
I got 3 of them.
hanging on it.
Yeah.
No.
I got 3 of them, Richard. I can bring all of them. You can keep one. Steve can keep one.
Sure. Yeah. No. That's okay.
I actually won one. I won a Ouija board, and my wife was like, "Get rid of that now."
And guess who took it?
Yeah.
I saw these. I don't know if you've seen them. They're little, when somebody passes away and they give you the memorial cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen those. Well, I've seen these memorial cards with a Ouija board printed on them, and on the back it says
Wow.
keep in touch.
Oh my God.
That's clever.
Funny.
That is clever.
That gives me an idea. When I die, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I wanted something like on my funeral, like give a K2 to everybody and the one that spikes, like it's me.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, you know what you should do?
Yeah.
Go one up and have like give everyone who attends the service a burrito,
Nice.
it's wrapped with that Ouija board memorial card.
There you go.
Yep, there you go.
Oh.
Jeff, this is a running joke between Steve and I with the burritos.
Okay.
Oh
my
yeah,
God.
it's. I don't know.
It's long.
Now my wheels are spinning now as far as what we can
he's
do.
thinking. He's thinking now.
Yeah.
He's thinking.
He's thinking
It's a
hard.
whole new business involved here, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna bribe the funeral home close to me in town here. If I die, I'm gonna say
Call it.
during the viewing, just make sure the lights flicker,
Call
the
it
temperature drops, that kind of stuff.
Call it Alex.
I want to come through to my friends. I'm actually telling my friends, if I die, do an investigation to a place where I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna be there. Go there,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna communicate with you. If it's possible, I'll do it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think a lot of us are like that. Who are involved with this.
As long as we don't reincarnate into a dildo.
Oh my gosh.
God. Jesus, Murphy. Leave it
The
to
ones with the suction cup you put against the wall.
Oh my God.
You never know where you're gonna end up.
Yeah.
Well, this is true.
It's
I haven't even gone through my first glass yet.
no pun intended, eh? You never know where you're going to end up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, Richard, let's get on with you with some of the locations that you've been to that just you're like, wow, okay, this is really creepy. This is just I don't know.
Well, it's that. Well, Alex was Alex. Alex knows one of them. He's been down there a couple times back in the day, off of Lakeshore there.
Yep.
Old mansion. They built a apartment complex around it, but the old mansion's there and the servant residence. And that was one of the most haunted places I've ever been. It's down in the Etobicoke.
Yep.
But
And it was a weird location. I mean, the night I met you and your brother Paul, I was there because Steve, Scott McClellan, right? It was he was living there at the time, and he invited me to his annual Christmas party.
Right.
That's where I met Richard and his brother.
Yeah.
And
Richard regrets going to that party now.
yeah, he does. But so I was there, and that place had a very weird vibe to it, man. Like I keep saying this over and over on this show. I'm about as psychic as a doorknob. I'm not psychic at all. But even I felt something weird in that place. You know what I mean? Like it almost felt ominous.
Yeah, you had eyes on you, just like the rest of us.
Yeah,
But,
it was a weird feeling, like an oppressive feeling.
Yeah, when I was.
And you're saying yet you don't have anything. I have a theory that we all have something. It's just like we have to like get it out. It's just like you have something.
I agree.
Your feeling is getting more and more like acute. More and more you go out there, probably.
Well, and that's the state, Jeff. I mean, I know everybody has the ability. Some people it comes more naturally than others.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it doesn't come naturally. So if I wanted to develop it, I'd have to put the effort in. But this is going back years. How long have we known each other, Richard? We must at least 15, 20 years. No, 15 years, let's say.
Well, the book is 21 years old. So.
Oh, there you go. So we've known each other quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had no idea Richard had written a book about this place or was planning to write a book about this place. I just got invited to this party from, Scott invited me, and I went, and from the moment I got there, shortly after I got there, I was like, holy shit, what the hell gives with this place? It was just felt really, really weird. And I don't normally get those kind of feelings. And it's not like I had no idea this place was haunted until Richard and Paul told me about it after we got introduced.
Yeah.
But I started getting this feeling even before I was introduced to Richard and Paul, and I knew that they were investigating this place. So I was like, what the hell's going on here? But anyway, so yes,
Yeah.
Richard, sorry. Finish your story, because that's a
Sorry.
great place there.
Well, it's interesting because I was just talking to Paul, and even though that investigation was, well, the book was 21 years ago, we've still kept an eye on that. We still know people there. We still kept an eye on it, and it's still a mess. It's a mess today as it was 20 years ago.
I believe it.
Those particular residents, just they can't keep people there. They keep turning over and turning over. And, it's like a revolving door. People can't live there. They move in. They've got kids, and the horror starts all over again. And then they flee the place, and then other people move in. And it's been going on since 1950. So
people are actually living in this place now.
yeah, it's the old servant residence.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so
It's
they
a
rent them
private-
out. They're like townhomes, right? 100-year-old
Yeah.
townhomes. But people can't live there. They move in, and this Edward is the principal there. He's a principal resident. He's nasty. He's a nasty SOB. He scares the kids. He scares the adults. He causes trouble. And then when you get to the mansion, he still roams the mansion as well, but there's other things within the mansion where people cannot stay in a relationship. So you can be boyfriend, girlfriend, you can be in love, you can be engaged or married, doesn't matter. You move into that mansion, you're going to split. You're going to split up, and you're out. So, and I don't know how many people we talked to, but it's diabolical how they do that. It's I know how they're doing it, but it's diabolical.
Yeah.
For
Is it
everyone,
a private
on YouTube.
residence?
Yeah,
So I was just going to show, this is the book. If you're interested in picking this
Yeah.
book up, this is the book about that investigation. And anybody who's watching on YouTube, it's called, anyone listening on New Visions, it's called Overshadows.
Thank you. Yes, I'll look into it. Really interesting because, well, that I'm looking into everything that is Canadian, everything that is out of the ordinary. That makes me think about like Hinsdale type of haunting type, or Conjuring House, or Amityville. It did it started like in the 50s, or prior to that they had some accounts.
I can only trace it back to 1950, and that's when the property changed hands, and they started building the apartments, and they started renting these properties. It was 1950, and I found a letter. It was the strangest way I found it, but I found a letter from the first tenant that lived in that spot, saying he had to move because he certainly didn't rent it with the activity and the noises and everything that were going on within that residence. And it's a funny story how I found that letter. They had all the old records. There's an underground tunnel there, and it's almost like a bunker, giant concrete room, and all the files are there. And they go right back to the beginning. And so my brother said, "Do you want to look?" And I said, "Sure." He says, "Okay, I got permission to go, so we can go." So we went down and opened the room. There had to be, I don't know, 10,000 boxes of files. The dust was 3 inches thick. There was old wooden crates. There was all kinds of junk. It was unbelievable. And I looked at it and I was defeated. How are you going to find anything in this mess? There's just so much. You'd have to bring forensic auditors in here and spend 6 months to go through everything. You're never going to do it. And I turned around and there was a wooden crate. It was, I can't remember if it was Canada Dry or Schweppes or whatever, an old pop wooden crate. And it was near the door and it was full of files. And there's this one little tiny piece of paper sticking up. And I grabbed it and I pulled it out and that was the paper. So it was like it was handed to me. It was unbelievable.
Whoa.
And I went through that whole box. There was nothing else in that box, but that was the smoking gun that said,
Really?
"This is when it starts."
And it's still waiting for its bottle of Canada Dry.
Yeah.
So Richard, that individual who first rented there, was that the servants' quarters or the main mansion?
That was the servant. There's a house there for servants.
Yeah,
it's quite a big house actually, but
it's a very intriguing property. I mean, the new buildings around it aside, that kind of detracts from it a little bit. But the main mansion and the property grounds is actually pretty interesting.
yeah. Well, all the old properties are there because the main mansion's there.
Yep.
There's the coach house, that giant coach house. The servant residence. There's the groundkeeper's cottage. I mean, all these they go back right to the turn of the last century, right? But like 1908 or something like that. So,
So 1908.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic place.
And have you thought about going back? Like, have you had the opportunity to?
Yeah, the opportunity's there. And I talked to Paul. He had the worst of it, right? So he's kind of reluctant because don't forget this SOB follows you home, and he's not a pleasant guy. He can push you down the stairs. He can do all kinds of things, which he did to Paul. Paul had a few injuries from that, but so he's not a pleasant guy, and so he's kind of reluctant. And I understand where he's coming from. Right? At this age, do I want to start psychic warfare and stuff? I don't know. Yeah, it's a young man's game.
That's when you bring in Alex, the goose, and
Yeah.
David the turret.
I'll go.
Yeah. Oh.
Don't worry, I have my trusty burrito.
I would love to go. I'd love to go back there.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy place.
Did Scott ever tell you why he ended up moving out of there, or was it just simply because he didn't want to pay the rent there?
He couldn't take it anymore. Who?
Okay.
Who are we talking about?
Scott McLaren.
Oh,
Yeah.
Scott. Yeah, I think the rents kept going up and up and up and up. And
Yeah, I figured.
he was having a hard time, and he was having a hard time where he was living too. Because
Yeah.
Well, he's got an interesting place now.
in Spencerville, yeah,
Yeah,
looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'd like
it looks
to
pretty
get there.
cool.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
mind
it looks
going out
pretty
and
neat.
see it. It's
He's,
a few hours for me. It's a few more hours from you.
Yeah. Where exactly is that Spencerville? Anyways, where is it?
Well,
What's going on?
yeah. So he's east of me. So
He's going up towards Ottawa, maybe, right?
Yeah, he's out towards Kingston almost.
Oh, Kingston. Okay.
You know where Perth is?
Yep.
Yeah. So he went. I guess he does a lot of his shopping in Perth. So he's around there.
Yeah.
So he's got to double back to get to Perth. So I think he's about just over 2 hours from me. So he's about 5 hours from you.
That's quite a distance.
On a good day, no, but,
Yeah,
right
on a good
without
day.
all
Yeah,
the traffic.
exactly.
Yeah,
Okay,
But
we'll teleport there.
teleport. Yeah,
so you're saying you have been in contact and you know the current people in there now, the current owners or whatever.
yeah. We keep an eye on stuff. Yeah, Paul, mostly Paul because he's got the in.
Yeah,
And he's closer. What am I going to do from where I am? But
yeah.
yeah, so keeping an eye on it. He gives me the info he gets. Um, so it's just as bad today as it was. It's always been. And we tried to get rid of Edward, but the medium just couldn't do it. There was just no way. He wasn't going to leave because as bad as the guy was, he was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
And he's comfortable where he is because he feels if he goes anywhere else, he's going straight to hell.
Wow.
So he's not moving. He's comfortable. He's got control. He rules the roost. So he's firmly planted where he is. There's no way to get rid of him.
What was it? His house?
No, he worked there.
Okay.
He worked. He worked. There was a very powerful family that worked there, and they were. I don't know what they were up to, but anyways, the war happened. The Second World War happened.
Hmm.
The owner was arrested for complicity, even though he had done nothing. It's just the government wanted his businesses,
Yeah.
so they locked him up. And then this guy, he was working for the owners. So the RCMP just figured, okay, you can continue doing what you do, right? Just oversee the property.
Yeah.
So that's why given the keys to the hen house to the fox, he was, he would take, he'd have his way with the women that worked there, beat the kids. He was just that way. And then he started a business up on the side because there was a gaming house not far from this mansion on Royal York, and they ran poker games, and it was kind of mobbish, right? Organized crime, and they had girls there, and they did stuff, and so he made a deal with a guy that he ran into that could do abortions, which was illegal.
Yeah.
So they set up a practice at the property there to do abortions, and they would bring in any of the girls that got into trouble. They would bring them over. And this guy was a butcher, right? And he ended up killing a girl.
Fuck.
And she wasn't even dead. They buried her in the basement, just threw rocks on her. And buried her.
Ouch.
Okay.
That's brutal.
She's still there today. She's still there.
Lots of troubled souls, lots of
Unbelievable.
negative, positive energy, like
Not so
name
much
it, you
positive.
Yeah.
wow.
A lot of negative.
Because I was asking the question because it makes me think the kind of haunting they have at the Beck House. Yeah, I don't know if you know the story of the Beck House. It was a big mansion. It was Mr. Beck's place, and the town was his town. And when he had his own money, and when he passed away, they decided to subdivide the house into apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, it's been haunted. And I had some communication in there saying like my house, my trees, and like
Well,
and yeah. So that's why I was asking the question: could it be like the past owner? It's like it's my house, get out. You're telling it's like a worker that worked there, but somewhere he feels like it's his.
yeah.
It's
Well, this is
mine.
what happened, right? They gave him authority over it, and I think there was something wrong with him, and he went, okay, this is mine. And it went on. The war went on for years, right? So I think that's in his mindset. It was his. He had the control. They said you have control. So
Wow.
You know, he walked around there and felt that he could do whatever he wanted to do.
So, I mean, if that's a thing, Richard, where you have a presence that doesn't want to leave, and you're just absolutely, this thing is like dug right in. I mean, what do you do? I mean, what is one person, or what do you do? Because I mean, you know, you're literally telling the person that owns this place, or lives there, or rents it, or whatever else, that this is up to you. I mean, if you want to continue to endure this, then so be it. But I don't know. I mean, is there a time when you just leave? What is left to do?
Well, we couldn't do anything. I mean, you know, you see these, every day you meet these mediums. Oh, you just clear it. You just clear it. Oh, you do some smudging and
Yeah.
you know what? No. The polite ones, sure. You might be able to negotiate with a polite one to leave the property.
Mm-hmm.
Smudging, well, you're just asking for more trouble, because you can smudge them out of the house. But give it 3 days and it's going to come back, and it's going to come back tenfold. We get calls all the time. Oh, somebody came and cleared my house and it's worse than it's ever been. Yeah. Well, 3 days later, yeah, exactly.
Now he's pissed.
Yeah, it's like bringing in the bouncer. Toss this guy out
exactly.
the street, okay, and then he comes pounding up the stairs, kicks the door in, and now what do you do with him?
Imagine that.
Because I've noticed spirits can be really territorial with their surrounding. Because I've did investigations when I had answers like "you're not invited" or "get out," or we're thinking they were talking to us, realizing that one of us had an attachment, and they were talking to the attachment. He wasn't welcome.
Wow. That's awesome.
And that was in the Hinsdale house.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that was a heck of a night.
Well, that's a great observation. That it wasn't you; it was an attachment.
Exactly. And sometimes I have communications because I had a name coming through a couple of times, and well, I think it's a cast out angel that follows me, and when he's not welcome, when I have communication like he's not welcome, get out, or bad spirit here. What? It's like there's no bad spirit here usually, but you have that thing following you around. But mine travels surprisingly through portals open with Ouija boards.
Oh yeah. There you go.
That's it, Alex. You're cut off.
Well, sometimes people open up and close up, and don't close. Sorry, and they put Ouija boards at. I've seen events like they have Ouija boards. Like, come on, use it.
Yeah.
Open up stuff.
Well, let me ask you, Richard, about that. What are your thoughts about, using the Ouija board and closing it up or not closing it up? I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
Who really knows? I mean, we try and close it down, but how do you know? I'll give you a good example. At this particular house we're talking about, some of these spirits were using a mirror as a portal in and out.
Yep.
And it was fascinating because Paul was in the house. He heard a noise in that bedroom where this mirror was, an old vanity. He ran up and ran into the room and took photographs. And one of the photographs he got of the mirror was a woman standing on some stairs. She had the puffy sleeves, she was looking over her shoulder at a young kid with a dolly standing at the bottom of the stairs in front of these massive doors, and a guy all in black with his back to the kid. So two interesting stories about that. One is we identified, which is, it blows my mind, that the stairs we're looking at and the doors in the mirror in the servant quarters was actually the foyer of the mansion. So we're getting a glimpse of the mansion in a mirror that's, how far is that servant residence, Alex? 300, 400 meters?
I'd
from
say
the
at
mansion?
least, yeah.
So here's a reflection in this mirror of the main floor of the mansion.
And they're not connected unless
And
they're
they're not
connected on the
connected at all.
ground.
No.
Yeah, they're not connected. Yeah.
Oh.
But going back to the portal thing, we surmised that it was using the mirror as a portal. Because every time it would arrive, you would hear banging as if somebody jumped through something or out of something or off something and hit the floor. So we thought, okay, he might be using the mirror as a portal. So we tried some experiments. So we took some really thick black cloth to try and block the entry point of the mirror, and we covered the mirror. The problem we made, it worked. The problem we did was he was already in the house.
So you couldn't get out.
Couldn't get out.
He couldn't get out. He couldn't use that portal, so he had to find another way out, which was not good for the family because all hell broke loose. So going back to the Ouija boards, right? If you have the intent that you're going to use this for to open something up and communicate, it's the intention that makes it real.
Exactly.
So how do we know that we've closed it properly, or we've closed it and, well, guess what? They're all still here because there's nothing that says they left and then we closed it. How do we know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
Yeah. We don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. So that's why it's not
That's exactly
dangerous, but you have to be really careful to where you use it and how you use it. Well, I don't use them anymore. I used it once and it went well.
Alex, what do you think? What do you think about that? Alex? About the closing up? Yeah, I mean, do you? I can't remember. Do you close things up?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Whether it works or not, I guess, is a different story. But yes, I try to close it out. Right. What do I think? I guess it all depends on what your take is with regards to the Ouija board, right? Is it actually opening up a physical portal, or is it opening up a physical portal in the sense where whomever you're communicating with is going through you and the other player? Right. So that's where, like, I mean, we don't know for sure, right? And if you're closing it out, I guess it's almost akin to saying, okay, I now close myself off. You're not allowed to communicate through me anymore. If that's in fact what's happening. If by playing the Ouija board, you're opening up an invisible physical portal and the spirit's moving the planchette, not through you, but with you, right? Then that's a different story. And that's part of the problem. We don't really know which way it goes.
Yeah.
But what, like we're assuming, and I noticed with what you're saying, physical portal. I mean, what if it isn't a physical portal? I mean,
no, I'm using the word physical.
No, I get what you're saying.
Lack of any proper terminology for it.
But I mean, I get what you're saying. But I mean, what if if there's no physicality to it at all?
No, there isn't. Well, I mean, it's not of this dimension. It's not of this physical realm. But the point I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to get across, is if what you're doing by playing the Ouija board is you're essentially opening yourself up to let whomever come through you to push the planchette,
Yep.
and you close the session down, you're essentially saying, I'm closing myself off to whatever influence is coming through me, right? If, however, it's a scenario where you're opening up this portal where a spirit guides the planchette along with you, then it's a different scenario.
Right.
Case in point, when I played the Ouija board in the cemetery, all those years back, I played with the skeptic, and this guy didn't believe it, whatever. So I'm like, okay, let's try it. I had the brilliant idea of going into the cemetery at night. Of course, it's my idea, right? So we brought the Ouija board. It was myself, this guy Nelson, who's the skeptic, and Frank, whom you know, Steve.
Yeah.
We went into the cemetery, which ironically is the same cemetery that my parents are now buried in. At the time they were alive, but anyway. So we found the flat tombstone where we put the Ouija board on top, and we started playing. It was myself and the skeptic.
Yeah.
And Frank was keeping an eye out for any security guards. So we started the session. We got it going. And what I do with anybody that I play with, I'll take my hands off just to prove that I'm not pushing it. At any given point, it's not like I'm going to tell them. I'm just going to take my hands off. So I do. So does he. And the planchette's still moving. Right? So this is why it's kind of like, okay, are we opening up a physical, quote unquote, physical portal where something comes through to push the planchette alongside you and guide it? Or are they coming through you? If you use that as an example, I would argue you're opening up a physical portal. Because if it's still moving, when both of our hands are off of it, and the guy's face, you should have seen the guy's face, was priceless. Right? But, and then, of course, we tried to close the session. We tried to say goodbye. We tried to apologize, all the whole thing. And they kept going to no every time. We finally got it to go to yes. And as soon as that happened, we picked up the board and we just got the hell out of there. Right? But yeah, it was an interesting night. Right? And yeah.
Like my first and only time I've used one.
Yeah.
Like
there you go. Tell the story.
I can't explain. Well, I live in a small town here in northern Quebec, and there's a train track, and there's a house near the train track, and it's called the passer's house, because before bridges, the guy you will pay a guy that you will check and know the train schedule so you can cross or you cannot cross. And the story goes that his daughter got killed on the tracks, and he hung himself in that house. And I thought to myself, I was just getting deployed, and I was like, wow, that's my grandmother's stories and everything. And cracked up a Ouija board, said, let's play Ouija and let's ask. And the board, not the planchette, but the whole board did this. But the sound, it's like somebody was pushing on it and spinning it. It's not like somebody like flicked it with his finger. I thought it was my friend. It's like, oh, come on, man. How did you do that? But the color of his face was telling a lot. And the house to this day is abandoned. There's nobody living in it anymore.
Well,
So, and I would say hi to Mr. Matthew Williams, the Secret Vault.
Who's that?
You don't know
Matthew.
Matt?
Matt. Who's that? I've never heard of that guy.
Nah,
Matthew
Matt,
Williams,
Matt?
the one and only.
Who is that? I've never heard of Matt Williams. Who's Matt Williams?
This show only brings on bald people.
Yeah, well, I don't know him personally, but he's been exploring with some of my friends that I have in the UK. So,
He's come on the show a couple of times.
Matt's been on a whole bunch
Yeah.
of times.
a really
been on
great
the show.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm eager to go to the UK and meet him so he can bring me to some great spots, but I've seen those people in chats before, like Melissa.
Yeah. Melissa?
Yeah.
Crazy John, how are you, Crazy John? Yes. Yeah. It's using. I've always been on the sort of
On the fence.
fence with Ouija boards.
It's a hit and miss. It really is. I got other stories I can tell you if you want, but I mean it's a hit and miss.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've always found it worked well for me when I played it with Frank. It really worked well with him when him and I did it. Case in point was we went to a friend's office after hours, another skeptic, right? And I told him, I go, okay, Frank and I can play. You can ask questions only you know the answer to. That's the only way we're going to be able to prove it to you. Because he didn't want to play it. He didn't believe it, but he didn't want to play it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, no problem. Frank and I will play it. You ask the questions that you know only you know the answer to, and that's the only real way we're going to be able to prove it to you. So we did. We started playing. He was asking questions, and according to him, it was answering correctly because I didn't know the answer to these questions. So I don't know if he was telling the truth or not. So then I upped the ante. I told Frank, I go, listen, let's make this a little bit more interesting to see if it works. Let's close our eyes, turn our heads, and let's just do it blindfolded, basically. And we even told John, the guy who was a skeptic, saying, ask your questions in your head. Don't even verbalize it. Right? Let's really make this interesting. So he did, and apparently it worked. Again, I'm going based on what he's saying, right? Because I don't know what questions he asked, especially the ones he asked only in his head. And apparently it was answering correctly. So hey, there you go.
That's pretty cool. When the answers go with the questions that have been asked.
Yeah.
That's really, really, really interesting.
We used to play, I mean, Frank and I and a couple other guys, where Frank used to live was right next to the cemetery that we went into at night. So him and his parents had an apartment there, literally next door to the cemetery. And there was one point where we used to go there daily to his place and play the Ouija board. Right? I mean, we were like 17, 18, you know what I mean? Like really young, right? Mm-hmm. But we had this fascination. You know?
Jeff, can you tell how screwed up he is now?
Well, I'm not far. I started using the pendulum, and I've been surprised by it. Because I can't use the dowsing rods. I don't have balance. Like they go all over the place. Yeah. But the first time I've used the pendulum, like I didn't want it to move. But when it started moving, I was like, no. At first, I thought, no, it's something else. So I was holding my wrist. I was trying to have a position like it's not me moving. It's not me. And I did a session at Wildwood Sanitarium with some friends at Seance Table on the second floor. My friend was doing an Estes method, and I was using the pendulum, and all the questions and answers were going like together.
They were corresponding,
yeah.
That was and
insane.
If you had an EVP session going on too, and you also got answers, that would have been like.
Well, we've done that.
I still have I had multiple cameras, but like with YouTube, sometimes you have to drop, and just like I was telling you on Friday, I caught an EVP at a graveyard that I didn't even know I caught it. On that short that I did, and okay, there were no kids with us that night. And you clearly hear a kid go, so
It's when you least expect it sometimes.
I love the pendulum, and I find it's more versatile than the Ouija board because you can do the same thing with a pendulum.
But I want to try something. I want to try, like with somebody else, being me in Estes, blindfolded with the pendulum.
Right.
And ask the question, and like cameras on me, and ask the question and go ahead. If my answers verbally goes with what comes through on the pendulum. I wanted to try it on the Queen Mary, but the investigation went left and right. So I don't know. I'm probably gonna try it on my next investigation at Blackford, or if somebody is with me at Monroe House, I'll probably try it at Monroe House.
Yeah. Well, run your EVP as well, because
yeah,
I run EVP along with the pendulum.
Yeah.
And it's there's so many times we're getting a yes answer on the pendulum, and you can hear the EVP. Where the guy goes yes or no.
I'm gonna try it.
The one of the most fascinating ones was we were looking into did a boat or something sink just off the shore where the old mansion was, and we were getting yes and no answers. We were using a medium who was using the pendulum, and we were running EVP. And we were getting yes and no. He didn't ask a question where you could get a yes and no. He said, "What was the name of the boat or the ship?" And the pendulum just stopped, and it sort of just like jiggled because it wasn't a yes or no. Yeah, it wasn't a yes or no. And then we go on the EVP. You hear a male's voice go, "Prince Henry." So we got the answer, but
on the EVP,
it was fascinating to see the pendulum. Like, I don't know what to say. So yeah, you got to run.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it, and I'll probably even gonna try it at the Monroe House. I have an experiment out of my head because I want to do the Monroe House alone.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you can do with the pendulum is what we've done is we make a large wheel, just a round piece of cardboard, and we do A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ask the questions, and it'll spell out stuff. And the best thing to do is get a tripod, a tall tripod, with a down-facing camera, and then it can record the
letters
spelling out. So it's not misinterpreted. Well, was that an L or an M, or was it?
Yeah.
Right. You can play that film back, and you can see what it's spelling out. It's quite amazing stuff.
That could be interesting. Yeah. Thank you.
So Richard, you know what you need to do? You need to start promoting. You find a location and say, "Hey, guys, come and do a Ouija board session with Richard Palmazano."
Yeah.
Or a pendulum session.
A pendulum session.
Pendulum session, yeah.
That's not me. Right now, I'm working on stuff like old houses that have been torn down. Like, I mean, old farmhouses where they've been torn down and gone. And then so I'm looking for these properties so I can set up my equipment, parabolic facing the ground on a tripod, EVP cameras, sensors, right, EMF and stuff like that. Because I'm sure I'm going to start to capture echoes from the past, right? You're going to hear, right? You're going to hear people walking around. You're going to hear people using the stairs or flushing the toilet or cooking turkey in a house that no longer exists.
Yeah.
So
figures you say turkey with Easter coming up.
Right. So that's what I'm looking at right now. So
where I have probably the place for you, because there's a house that it's going down. The farmer he's just waiting for it to go down. I went to investigate it last summer, and I kid you not, it takes a lot to get me out on an investigation, and I had to leave that place. And
Really?
when I was leaving, I had to stop to puke, and I never puked like that since the time I was drinking back in my army days. All right? I tell you, like, complete jet was coming out.
Wow.
Can you show the slide that I've
Sure.
put
Yep.
down?
Mhm.
Listen.
Oh yeah,
That is caught with the camera.
you can clearly hear that.
And we did some research on the family of that house. The grandfather of that guy was like in bad with the church. So he decided to keep his family and everybody on his farm and teach them himself. So it went down from generation to generation until he passed away, and nobody else took the farmhouse. It's been abandoned since the early 70s.
I'm gonna play it again. Joe.
Yeah.
I mean Jeff.
It's like it's just been us.
And the floor in the middle is like caving in, and the guy that owns the land, he even like he doesn't go on in that house. He just go in his tractor past the house, and he tells us like every time he goes by with his tractor, he gets the heebie-jeebies about the house. He's just waiting for it to go down by itself.
We should take Richard to the Tremaine house.
That place is almost falling apart.
Yeah, well, it pretty much is.
Yeah,
Man.
let's go.
Pretty
I'll
much.
get my shoes. Come on, let's go.
Got some really freaky shit there, man.
Well, it's okay. I've lost my shit a few times. So, one was the house on Mississauga there, the old farmhouse, and a couple times I lost but this one I actually left. So it was a last minute thing. I wanted to go down and do some recording. So the guy I knew, Darren, he said, yeah, I'll go with you. And my niece was around. She said, yeah, I'll go. I said, okay. So the three of us drove out to this farmhouse, set up some recording equipment in there, toured the inside, and then we came outside to have a drink and a smoke, take a break. So we're on the front lawn facing the front of the house, and it's all boarded up.
Yep.
And so it's like someone inside banging on the plywood on the main floor at the far corner. Bang, bang, bang. It's getting louder, and then it's going on, and then over here, banging starts, and then upstairs, banging starts, and within 30 seconds, there's every inch of this place is like pounding from the inside. It's so fucking loud. We're just like, I don't even know what to say. And all of a sudden there's this woman's scream, like a bloody murder scream. And it just goes quiet. No crickets, nothing, just dead quiet. And thank God Darren was there, because he looked at me and he said, is that normal? I said, yeah, all the houses do it.
Yeah, all those.
But I quickly calculated what the value of the equipment I had in the house was. And I said, the hell with that. I said, I'm out. And we got in the car and left. I left the equipment and everything. There's no way I was going in there.
That's not the farmhouse by the fusion house, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
really? That place?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw two
It still exists.
apparitions there.
It's still there.
Yeah, a woman in a I'd say her dress was from maybe the 1920s or so. She materialized maybe 75 yards from us.
I remember you were saying that.
White,
Wow.
glowy. You can make out the details. It was, and I was an idiot, you know. I said, we're looking at her. I couldn't get a clearer picture, so I told Paul, and there was like 4 of us watching her. I said, I'm going to go around. Like I'm going to sneak up on her goes, right?
Yeah.
So get half
Hey, you never know. Give it a shot. Why
Hey,
not?
she's gone, right? She just vanished.
I told the
She
guys
was-
this.
Yeah, she was cool. She was a really cool.
I told
if
the
she was
guys
alive,
about a full
friends.
buddy, the Persian, that I was pretty stupid myself as well, because my camera was shooting, but I was looking at her saying, "Hey, I think she's folding. Get your camera, idiot!" It's like, but my camera is behind me shooting
I
like
know,
a
I know.
gravestone, but it's like, is she real?
Yeah.
It's it, and when you see that person, like, it's not going like that. It's
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just smooth as glass, man.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know.
Mhm.
and wow, and yeah, I kind of know the feeling, because, and I was one of my good friends, Dominic, and Dom went running, and he took his flashlight. When he popped up his flashlight, the lady was like twice the distance she should have been, and when he shone his light on her, she vanished.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
Hey,
On
you know
the-
what? After the break, Steve,
yeah.
I should get Richard to talk about the guild.
Well, let's do it.
Oh, the guild.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We'll take a short break here on the New Visions Radio Network. And we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're listening to us on the New Visions Radio Network. And of course, watching us here on the YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Good evening. I'm Richard Palmisano, the founder of the Searcher Group. It's a paranormal company, the oldest in Canada. I founded in 1979, which not only makes me old, but makes me doing paranormal research and field work for just under 45 years now. I am also an author, researcher, and lecturer on the paranormal. I've written 6 books now. And I really enjoy coming on with Steve and Alex on Nocturnal Frequency Radio, as well as listening to the shows, because there's a lot of interesting guests there. I like it, looking at this stuff, because it opens your mind to other options and other alternative thoughts. And, there's always time to learn new things. So I hope you join us and come and see Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Thank you.
So let me ask you, what makes for good radio?
My 5 favorite songs all day long.
Play it again.
No.
As many commercials as physically possible.
What? No, why would that be good?
Great music, great talk shows, no commercials.
Precisely. New Visions Radio gives you no commercials, no nonsense, just the best new music and the best talk all day long, 24/7, 365. NewVisionsRadio.com.
Hey guys, Kristen here, host of the Paranormal Girl podcast, a bingeable exploration and deep dive education about the paranormal for the skeptical believer. Some of my past season topics have included shadow people, Mandela effect, demons, and UFOs. Currently, I am tackling Bigfoot. I have been sharing this journey with my audience since early 2021, and I have learned a lot these last few years. It's truly a mysterious world out there beyond our perceptions, and reality is just not what it seems. I have also, since the start, met some awesome folks like Alex and Steve, and I've really enjoyed watching and learning from them and also joining them on their show. Their guests are always outstanding, their listeners are just the coolest, and these hosts are some of my favorite people. I recommend their show to anyone looking for an intelligent and fun conversation about the paranormal amongst friends. So join me on my investigation, join Steve and Alex on theirs, and enjoy. Now back to the show. You are watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
And that you are. We lost Richard. Where did Richard go?
No.
Where did Richard go?
Probably had some connection problem.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. There he is.
Just dropped off. Anyways, welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course, watching us here on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Yeah. So, what the Guild House? Is that what it is? The Guild House?
Yep.
Guild
The
of
Guild.
All Arts, Scarborough Guild of All Arts.
Yeah.
Bickford, family owned it, and quite the place. It's I think it's a culinary school now for
It's like an event center, I think.
one of the colleges. I don't know what they've done to it, but
To teach them how
fascinating place.
to make hauntingly spicy food.
Yeah. So, have you
Yeah,
been
it's all
there
about
recently,
numbers.
Richard?
What's that?
Have you been to the Guild recently?
No.
They tore down that quote unquote news section of the
Yeah,
complex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kept the original house, and then I think they turned it into an event center of some kind where they may host like culinary school there, but it looks like an event center to me.
Yeah, I haven't been for years. No, we were. It was interesting. We were invited by the city councilor. He said, "Do you want to investigate?" I said, "Yeah, of course." He said, "Well, the only condition is you're going to be embedded with a Toronto Star journalist." I said, "Okay, yeah, great." So the journalist for the Toronto Star, his name was Bill Taylor. Fascinating guy. I really like Bill. So we got the team together. We got the equipment together. Headed out there. We're going to spend the night. and get to there. Get there. We're offloading the equipment into the mansion, and Bill Taylor was standing on the front porch. So I went up, introduced myself, and he didn't pick any bones about it. He said, "I don't believe in any of this crap." And I said, "That's perfect." I said, "Because you see all these people here." He said, "Yeah." I said, "I already know what their opinions are." I said, "Your opinion is going to be the most important one in the morning. So we'll see how your opinion works out." He said, "Okay." So went in, set up. Fascinating place, very haunted. We had looked into this place a few times. It's got a great backstory, I'm telling you. But I'd love to do the book, but I just can't. I just got too many projects on the go. I think that property was probably. You guys are familiar with MK Ultra?
Yep.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, I think that place was the precursor to MK Ultra. I don't know. It's not on the books. I've never heard it brought up in discussion anywhere. But I think they were doing it on Canadian troops after the war there.
And then child.
Yeah, and then it went to, and then it grew out of there. I think
in Montreal they had some poor kids that did MK Ultra experiments on them. They're buried near the McTavish Monument, I think.
Yeah. That was what's the university there?
I know exactly.
Was it McGill?
Was it McGill?
Yeah.
McGill, yes, it's McGill. Yeah. And I'm eager to go investigate that place because, like, I was supposed to go, and my friend Dominic, that does tours in Montreal, he told me, well, we cannot because it's fenced out. They were doing some works, I don't know, and they dug up bones. Well, they stopped, and they called in the archaeologists and the forensics experts and everything. So, so postponed the investigation. But I'm eager to go there.
Yeah. What's his name?
What was the professor's name now?
Well, it was Ewan Cameron.
Yes, that's
was the head. He was the president of the World Psychiatric Society, right? Because he was the head in Canada, he was the head in the United States, he was the head in Britain. So they considered him the head of the world of psychiatric treatment.
Oh,
and he was running the experiments. Fascinating guy. Not only did he work for the Canadian government, he was getting paid by the CIA and the American government.
So he's getting paid well.
He was very well paid. He committed a lot of atrocities.
You cross me, you get a lobotomy.
Yeah. You won't remember.
No lobotomy for you.
But we had some of the recordings indicated that this was going on during that time, 1946, into 1947, and they had there was at least one Nazi scientist there.
Really?
Working on this program.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a real treat.
And this was knowingly.
Well, what do you mean knowingly?
Did they know she was a Nazi?
They knew, of course. Yeah, that's why they brought her, right?
Yeah.
See, the Americans were under paperclip. Wanted all these Nazis.
Yep.
But the problem was with national security in the United States, they had to clear them to make sure they were okay. So they had to have them somewhere. So Canada said, "Hey,
no problem." That's the way it usually is in Canada.
Hey,
no problem.
The U.S. did the same thing with the guy that invented rockets. He was working for NASA, and he was like the guy who created the V2 rockets.
Yeah, Werner von Braun. Yeah.
Werner von Braun,
yeah. Well, that's it's the N in NASA stood for Nazi, right? Well, Americans didn't build it.
More or less.
It was
More or
the
less.
Nazis that built
More or less, yeah.
It was technology brought over from Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. But fascinating
But
place.
I didn't know that place too was related to all those experiments and
Well, nobody
I'm
does.
pretty-
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Wow.
Nobody does. It's
It-
it's still buried. They flooded the tunnels. There's tunnels there, and they flooded them out. You can't get into them.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they wall up certain access points.
Why don't we just do what they do in Oak Island and just pump out the water?
Try and get
An
access.
underwater drone.
They're not going to let you. Are you kidding? They're not going to give you the access.
I know.
But I would love to get in there. I would go back.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So Bill Taylor, we were going to go down and to the partial tunnel that we could get into. So we had in the dining area, we had our command post set up, right, with extra equipment, batteries, water, stuff like that. So we're going to go down to the tunnel, and
Sorry.
so I'm like, well, this is cool. Where's Bill? We got to get Bill. He's got to be on this, right? So I'm looking around, and there he is sitting in the back of the room. He said, Bill, what are you doing? He says, oh, not much, nothing. I said, well, we're going to go down to the tunnel. You have to come. He says, no, it's okay. You guys go ahead. I said, oh, hold on a minute, Bill. What the hell's happening here? You came in to follow us around to find out, what gives here. He says, well, I don't know. I said, well, no, come on, level with me. What's going on? He says, well, I was upstairs on the second floor, touring the house, and I turned around and I went to come down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And two hands on my back pushed me so hard. He says, if I had not grabbed that handrail, I would have tumbled down the stairs, killed myself. And he says, I was pissed, and I turned around and there was no one there. And I said, yeah, they sort of get upset when you tell them you don't believe in them. But they picked on him all night long. And he did a page and a half in the Star, and you know how big the Star is, so that was a lot of reading for him. But
yeah,
I loved it. I think it was great. And but that place is just, there's so much to it, and the soldiers would use their metal tin cups on the radiators, Morse code back and forth to the different rooms, and it was a fascinating place. There's a fantastic story there, but if you know somebody wants to do it, I don't have the time or the energy. I'll give them what I got. I've got a lot of info, but
this is the Guild House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have that article from the Star?
I got it somewhere. It's probably online as well, but anybody who wants to jump in, man. This is a book.
The Guild House.
Sometimes you find stuff, Sometimes you find stuff and you're like, what the? There's the lady that used to work there. Oh, you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deutsches Reich.
Yeah.
But I really don't want to give up too much information on it, but not right now. Just but you can see. But sometimes you find stuff when you look.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But
yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
That's
That's the information that you could be looking over your shoulders for a little bit.
That's long gone, and probably like everybody knows the story by now.
Well, now, yeah. But if you discover it,
Mm.
here comes that lobotomy.
Yeah. Oh, well. The good thing about that is you wouldn't know.
Well, yeah, you'd click. What happened? Holy crap!
Yeah. How come
What the
I'm
hell am
drooling
I?
so much?
Why am I sitting here talking to you? Well, who are you guys?
The weirdest thing at the guild was we had a camera set up in the hallway, where the stairs come up to the hallway. And it's a long hallway. There's like 6 rooms, 3 on each side. So it's looking down this long, long hallway, and this orb. I have to call it an orb because it was a round ball of energy.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes from somewhere in the back of the house, and it comes over the camera, and it dips down, and it goes right to the end of the hall, and it lands on the floor, and it's like jello. It's just wobbling, and there's every color of the rainbow in it, and it sort of wobbles off into a room, and it's big. It's almost the size of a basketball.
Wow.
And my brothers, we didn't know at the time that we had it on camera. My brother calls me. He says, "Get over here. We got to look at this." So I go over and we look at it, and we rewind it, and we look at it, and we rewind it, and we look at it, and I'm like, my mind is sort of melted down to, because I can't fathom what I'm looking at. And I said, "It can't be." And he says, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "It can't be." And he says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And I said, "All the colors." And he goes, "Yeah, isn't it fascinating?" I said, "Yeah, because it's a black and white camera." Can't explain. So
wow,
we brought one of the other team in.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get, the image was gone. We went through the whole tape 100 times. It's not there. We watched it 3 times, but then it wasn't there anymore. I can't explain stuff like that. That's not even paranormal. It's supernatural, because I have no explanation for any of it.
Wow is right. You can't even come close to giving some sort of explanation at all.
No, there's nothing. It's mind-boggling. You can't. What, do you got a visitor?
Yeah, sounded like it. Sounded like somebody was at my door.
Whoa.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No. Well, when you talk about the stuff, it energizes the area, right?
It's a burrito man.
The only invited guests I have here are fur animals. My cat or my dog.
It was the witching hour.
Careful, Steve. It might be someone passing gas.
I'm telling you, man. Like I said, I've had a lot of weird shit happen here. A lot of weird stuff. Richard, this little box down here, right there. See that little army box there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
right?
told me about
See that guy? You saw that guy?
Yep.
There's one time I came in. I have some movies in it or whatever, right? And
again,
I have some movies in there, and it's funny. One time I came up here, and the box is open, and the movies were stacked nice and neatly on my studio desk here. And I'm like, okay, I don't remember going in the box and taking those out and piling them there. And I asked my wife. I said, were you in here looking at the movies or what? No. What? Okay, am I like losing it or something? Am I getting some sort of weird blackout thing where I don't remember I'm doing stuff? Because that was weird. I know I didn't do it. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's nothing, man. I mean, I've like I said, there was one time we were away for a week.
Oh, you told me about this with the music.
Did I tell you about this
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Yeah. I went away, you get home, unpack the car, get in the house, and no sooner than we got in the door, and there's a doorbell rings. I go to answer the door. It's my neighbor, and she's like, "Are you guys just getting in?" Yeah, yeah. You're just getting home. Yeah. We've been away for the last week. Why? What's up? You sure you weren't home last night? Yeah. I just got off a fucking flight.
Mm-hmm.
I just got in the door. Why? What's going on? Well, my husband had to come over here last night and knock on your door a few times because it sounded like you were having a party.
Mm.
I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean it sounded like we were having a party? Yeah, like the music was blaring. It was blaring. It was bouncing off the wall. It was so loud. And I'm like, yeah, okay, there was nobody here last night. Absolutely nobody. I had to double check with my wife. I said, look, none of the kids came over to check on the place. No, nobody was here.
Well, the spirits were having a party.
I said, were the lights in the house? No, there was no lights on. So there you go. No one was here. Are you sure it was coming from our house? Absolutely. There was no doubt.
That's the roving. I don't know what it is, but I call it the roving party.
Yeah.
It can be anywhere. I've had it at my parents' house. We had it there.
Yeah.
My mom called me. She said there's a party in the basement. You can hear people laughing and talking and music just going on, and there's no one there.
Weird, huh?
And then at the CNE, for example, the General Services Building, the manager of the archive, she's sitting in her office and she hears a party going up and down the hall, moving around, like people talking and laughing and music and all kinds of stuff. And she's afraid to go in the hall because, like, what the hell's happening? She called down to security to come up and see what's going on. It's just a roving party, man. I don't know if it just moves around, and it's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
Well, it's like this little guy here. You
Yeah.
see this little guy here?
Yeah.
You have to pry it open and the lights go on.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing hadn't worked in years, like good 10 years. You could open it, try to fidget with it. The lights wouldn't come on, right? Okay, whatever. And it's like I said, I came home one night, coming upstairs, and I noticed a light coming from in here, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I see this thing. It's like this. It was like that on my desk. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
What? Okay. Why is that like this?
Yeah.
Because somebody had to actually
physically
open it.
Yeah.
And B, it's working. So I picked it up. I closed it. And I opened it again, and the light wouldn't come on. I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? Crazy, huh?
Never had shit like that happen to me.
Me neither.
Oh, I get that too over here. Weird stuff like that. Sometimes I get shadows in the house or people moving stuff around. Or it was funny. Was it 2 weeks ago? Maybe 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I went outside for a smoke, and I've got a nice sized yard, so I've got a lot of solar lights out there. But they're from the summer, and through the winter and all the harsh elements and everything, a lot of them die out.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't worked in 6 months. I go out and have a smoke, and they're all lit up. It was just the one night. We're all lit up, and I'm like, what the hell? These things haven't worked in 6 months. And then the next night I go out, and it's pitch black. There's nothing, right? And it hasn't lit up since. But just that one night, it was like, okay, we're all here.
That's crazy, huh? That's crazy.
And you can't rule out the fact that probably you have haunted memorabilia at home, because
well, that too, yeah.
I have, and nothing happened here. Those are pieces of the jail, showing a piece of the death row at Dorchester Jail in New Brunswick.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you heard of that
Yeah.
place
Mhm.
Yeah.
where the Bannister brothers were hanged. So yeah, and that playing card was found in the walls
Nice.
of the jail.
Oh
My
wow.
brother- My
It's
brother
Bill.
Yeah, my brother did the chimney there.
Oh, and
Yeah. They,
haunted, crazy.
yeah.
I had a sign. There's a sign, a life-size picture of one of the Bannister boys with his mother, and it was leaning against the wall. We moved it like to do our video, and I was coming back with one of my cameras, and the whole thing fell on the floor.
Well,
And yeah, I don't have it on camera, but my friends heard the the famous French curse word that starts with a T.
Touche. No, that wrong
Touche.
one.
Yeah, it starts with a T and then with a K.
Touche.
Yeah, but yeah, I have haunted memorabilia here, and nothing never happened here.
no, depends. It really depends. Here's a piece that was brought to me by a friend of mine. It's a piece of the wall from the Stonehead or Ram's Head cottage in England.
Yeah.
Oh, the ancient
That's like the
Ramen.
most.
What's that?
That's like the most haunted place in England, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah.
The ancient Ramen. Yeah, that was a place I was planning to go with 30 East Drive.
Yeah. There's a few urban explorers that have gone in there, and
Yeah, and well, I heard stories of like people and good paranormal investigators that went there, and they all felt something, and especially 30 East Drive.
Yeah.
But do you think, let me ask you, Richard, do you think that's the problem though? Do you think that's a huge problem? That, a lot of these groups, if you will, nowadays, they go into these places because they know, and it's almost like an expectation that something happens.
Yeah.
And even if something doesn't happen, you kind of, I got to fill the void.
Mhm.
I got to fill the void. Something did happen. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, if you have expectations, usually your mind will create something for you. And this is why I stay away from commercial hauntings, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but because there's some good haunted locations out there, but they're so commercialized
Mm-hmm.
that I have no interest. I
been-
don't want to go there. I don't, first of all, it was popularized by Zach Bagans, right? You give me access, I'll show you how to make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes in, he makes it popular, and then next thing you know, they're charging thousands of dollars for you and the closest 100 friends you have that run around this place and do whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They call it scientific investigative work.
Mm.
And that's why I shy away from crap like that. I don't.
Mhm.
If it's popular, I don't want to go there.
I'm
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm like you, Richard. I'm the same way. I enjoy finding these these
Diamond
places,
in the rough.
diamond
Yeah.
in the rough. Yeah, that it's
I did a couple of spots here in Canada that nobody heard. Well, nobody heard of except the people that go there.
Yeah.
But I've been to places, especially in Nova Scotia, to name a few. York's Redoubt. I had stuff happening there. My friend Lomar and me had, I have a yes no prism, a triangle, and I had the yes flashing, the green flashing yes on me, and one of the bunkers when we asked if there was like some kind of portal. Those places, kids used to go there and do seances, and probably in the 60s you had those weirdos going there doing black masses and stuff like that, you know. So all a multitude of stuff were open there, and there's nobody that went investigate there. We went when we investigated a cave that used to be a gun position during the First World War, and we had a date that was etched on the wall coming on our devices. It's like, how can you see that? It can't. And we never mentioned the date. It was 1922. Never mentioned the date. And when we were investigating in there, it was 100 years because it was in 2022.
Wow. Yeah.
And that place is like just asking. And it's a public park. It's open. You can go in there. There's, like I told you last Friday, for that's the only place where I heard a clear footstep on concrete.
Yeah.
And I have it on camera. One of my camera was rolling, and we clearly heard the stump on the concrete.
Wow.
And we happened to, when we were filming, we go and film in one of the chambers. It used to be like the ammo magazines where they put like all the barrels. There's a plank of wood with candles on it. Like people just came prior to our arrival. Like, they did a seance in there. It's like, come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow.
And I've been to the Hinsdale house. I heard footsteps, but like very faint. And people go in there. You had Zach Bagans that went in there. You had that other guy that did this paranormal leg down in there. So, but me, I'm kind of curious of those places. Like I'm going in Indiana. I'm doing the Blackford prison, the old Blackford jail, and the Monroe House. But I've learned that those two are related.
Oh yeah. You said you're going to do the Monroe House yourself, though, right? You're going in there by yourself.
Yes.
So that's a little different, I think, than taking in and whatever else. I think you're going to be a lot more serious.
Oh, because absolutely. I know my friends did. They're actually editing their documentary on the place. And my friend Joe stayed in the place alone for a couple of days. And yes, he felt uneasy, but like he said, like I didn't went out running and renting an hotel room. Like, there's like a presence, there's something, but if you respect it and you go, well,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever. I can't think of a single time when I've run out of a place or felt like,
the only place I left.
You just need to get the hell out of here. I mean, I've been in places that are kind of freaking me out, but I don't know. But I mean, I just
go with Richard a couple of times.
Well, there's been hairy stuff happening, like even when I lived on Lakeshore, I lived in that complex, right, where the mansion was, and I remember sitting there. I was watching TV. It was late. I I was just preparing for like the next night where I'd be on night shift. So I just had to stay up late. So I was sitting in the living room watching TV. It was probably 1:30 in the morning, and I hear all this noise coming from the bathroom. And I'm like, what the hell? So I go on, I look in the bathroom, and the shower curtain's like crazy. And I figure, oh, there must be a storm, because I had a window in the shower. So I figure, oh, maybe there's a storm blowing, and the window's open, and the wind's coming in, and the shower curtain's going nuts. And I whip the curtain open, and the window's closed. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? You get stuff like that. I remember one night I was sitting on the couch, and my wife called me. She called me like, "Come, Rick, come!" Right? So I ran over, and again I was preparing for a night shift, and she had gone to bed. So I opened the bedroom door, and I like, "What's going on?" And she goes, "Somebody's trying to get in the bedroom." I said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "The doorknob's moving. The doorknob's moving." And I was standing there in the doorway, and I'm looking at her, and I had my hand on the door handle, and I turned the door handle from the outside where I was standing, and the inside doesn't move. They're independent. So I looked at her, and I said, "Well, I hate to tell you, but whatever was in the room was trying to get out, not get in. Because if I turn this doorknob doesn't move." So guess, well, she didn't sleep that night. So
You don't say.
But you know, stuff happens, man. I mean, one of my favorite. What's that? Sorry.
Meat takes a lot to scare me. That's the thing. It takes, like, to get me out, I have to be physically sick.
Yeah, I've never.
If I'm physically sick.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had that happen to me. Thank goodness. But
well, there's one incident with. Well, we talked about him a million times, Alex.
I think your mic shifted there, Steve.
Why? Did you see that? We've talked about it several times about you getting sick in the Spruce Lane.
Yes. Yeah. Richard, you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you took the readings in that area.
Yeah, I took
so for Jeff's, so Jeff understands the concept or what happened, and for anybody who didn't hear the story a million times before, it was a Spruce Lane farmhouse. We went there. I was feeling sick that day. I just had a cold. You go in, we start doing the investigation, and around the main staircase that goes up to the second floor, I started feeling even worse. Like really, really bad. Like drained of all energy, really like tired. And I just chalked it up to, well, I'm sick. Probably getting worse, right? So I stayed pretty much on the main floor the whole night while Steve and everybody else went around and did what they had to do. And when we finished the investigation, we went back outside. I started feeling better. As soon as we left the place, right? Now, I've been there since that day. Nothing else has happened. I'm thinking because I was feeling ill already, if you want to say, I don't know if you want to say this, but my guard or my defenses were down already to begin with. Maybe that's why I got affected, and I didn't get affected all the other times. Nevertheless, Gord went there and felt something weird after the incident that I had.
In the same area.
Yeah, and that's
without any prior knowledge. No knowledge of it at all.
Well, that's the thing, because like for me, the first time I went to Hinsdale, nothing physically happened to me. But I did a awesome investigation. I slept well and no problem. Second time I went there, do all my B-roll and everything. As soon as I let's start the investigation, I start sweating. I start feeling like I'm gonna throw up. Like, what the hell is happening? I thought I was starting a cold or flu. I go and lay down. I do a live stream. During the live stream, like I get a second win, if I can say. And just after the live stream, okay, let's investigate. Room. Same thing. All the energy, everything starting sweating. It's like, what the frick? And I was going on a road trip. I go and lay down, say, like, fuck it, guys. Like, investigate and, like, screw it. Tonight I'm sleeping. Next morning, wake up. No problem at all.
Yeah, it's just it's the proximity, man. Sometimes they get too close to you, and it's like, some of them will give you a smell of perfume or smoke. Some will give you an emotional feeling, and then sometimes you get sick. They're trying to tell you a story, and it's really the only way they can do it, right? Is by transferring some of this information, and unfortunately,
Hold on.
you can. But one of my favorite stories is when we were working the CNE, and we went across the street, across Strawn Avenue there there's a cemetery down in a bit of a dip, and it wasn't a cemetery the whole time. It was where the running battle took place when the Americans attacked York and Fort York in 1813, and a lot of soldiers lost their lives along there, and they just buried them where they fell. So, moving forward, they started a new fort, right, which was Stanley Barracks, and they decided they need a military burial place. So they went to that place and they started a cemetery, but they didn't acknowledge the soldiers that had already died and were already buried there, which was an injustice, complete injustice. So the medium was saying that they're very upset about this. There should be some recognition for the fallen soldiers. And my brother Paul was there, and and one of the curators for the CNE was with us. So it was starting to get dark, and not too dark. The sun was still out, but it was on the horizon. And anyways, something come flying out of nowhere. It hit my brother in the back. And he went, "What the hell is that?" So we're looking around. It took us a couple minutes, but it was a coin. And on a port. So we found the coin and looked at it, and I put it in plastic. I hopefully you can see it. It's got a hole punched in it, but it's a British coin, 1812, and it's got Lady Justice on the back, and with the blindfold, blind justice. So I mean that's a clear piece of communication.
Wow.
Blind justice, 1812. So they were saying, we were here, and nobody acknowledged our lives and deaths, when we fought for Canada. Gave it to the curator. She took it back. She did some research. The hole punched in it was normal for that period of time because the uniforms were so bad. They didn't want to lose their money. So they would punch holes in them, tie them on a piece of leather around their wrist. Because you wouldn't want to lose your money, of course.
Don't want to lose the money.
Whoa. That's amazing.
So
that is.
And quite an interesting place. There was a woman eating her lunch there one time, and she was finished. She got off the bench. She stood up, and something tackled her, knocked her to the ground. Something unseen. And while she had her face pressed into the grass, she could see the tree line, and she said there were soldiers in old uniforms with guns lined up there.
Wow.
It's like sometimes when you go walking on the plains of Abraham
Mhm.
You can smell gunpowder.
Yeah.
It happened to me, and one time, another time, I was walking back in my army days, and we crossed some tourists and say, "Oh, hey, we just saw the reenactors. They're really good." Where? Oh, just over there. Like, there's no reenactors anywhere. Like, what? And they saw people in uniform.
Nice. That's amazing. That's
I
amazing.
remember being in Gettysburg and
Oh,
walk in the field
can't wait to go this
and
summer.
finding an old coin. And sadly you can't keep it, right? You're not allowed to take anything from the field. So I have a picture of it somewhere. I don't know where I put the picture, but I'm like, wow, it's just brought chills, like just chills. That this was most likely some soldier's coin.
Yeah.
That most likely perished. Because I mean, you're still finding bones, you're still finding bullets, everything
Oh,
in that field because they want it as is. They don't want to clean it up. They don't want,
No, yeah,
and they've thrown people in jail for taking stuff.
and they even bringing back the part the way it should be, like
Mhm.
where
Yep.
all the little stops where so and so off had the little shops and stuff. They're like putting the grounds where they were back then. They even did some work on little round top, and just to like they didn't redid the earthwork, but they just like cleaned them up. Like you can see like all the wall where all the Massachusetts regiment where all that with Colin Chamberlain when they gave that charge, all that wall was like all buried, so they
Mhm.
all brushed it up. I can't wait to go there because I was told you were there. You can feel the energy
Oh yeah.
of the
Oh yeah.
battlefield.
I stayed right in the Lincoln Hotel.
I
Right
will
where Lincoln
stayed when he did
stayed
the
when he did the
speech.
speech and all that. It's a Best Western now. But I
Yeah,
mean, staying in that place. So I'm telling you, man, it just like you literally get a sense of what it was like to be there.
I'm gonna be staying at the Eisenhower Convention Center,
Yeah.
but I've learned that I think one part of that building was where the I think where they were training the tank
Mhm.
on Gettysburg.
Yeah.
There were like the command center was like kind of there, and it's President Eisenhower that came from that part, and he trained on those grounds. He kind of did something, so that's why it's called the Eisenhower, I think. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the map again. Just looking. It's been like God. I haven't been there. It's been.
I want to try to do some EVPs and try to find out, uh, get a response of Canadians that fought for the unions.
yeah.
Well, that would be interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there were some Medal of Honor Canadians that had Medal of Honors on at
Mhm.
Gettysburg,
Yep.
and yep.
Yeah. What a place, man. It's phenomenal. Like it's just really phenomenal. I'm just looking for that because the hotel was it's you know there's so much stuff goes on in that place. They say it's extremely haunted. Again, you take a lot of what's being said with a grain of
Mm.
you know so because I mean it's look at the place. It's Gettysburg. So you're going to get all this hype. You're going to get, hey, look at, you're going to say, hey, look at overwhelmed with people with all these stories. And they know why you're there. You're there to look at, the paranormal aspects of things. But me, when I went there, it wasn't so much the paranormal aspects, it was the historical aspects.
Me, it's kind of both as well. Because I've always been fascinated by the Battle of Gettysburg, and I did some research even to know if there were some Canadians, and oddly enough, I found out there were like 50,000 Canadians that enlisted for the Union. It's wow.
Yeah, I'm just reading what Gareth wrote. Found out yesterday I was nominated to sleep overnight in the local slate mine morgue. Thursday night, though, the graveyard was going to be mad enough.
Wow, that's cool.
That would be crazy. Gareth does a lot of he explores a lot of mines, abandoned mines. He's man.
Probably knows Matt. I probably saw him with Matt.
He knows Matt. They all know Matt. They know each other. But
I follow them. They're so
follow Gareth's channel. I'm telling you, man, like some of the locations that guy's been to, holy shit, it's been incredible.
They have so much awesome mines over there in the UK that it's just insane.
History alone.
The history and
what clan are you from, sir? All right, that's it, guys. That's 2 hours in a bag. Holy crap!
Wow,
Yeah.
It just flew by.
It went by so fast.
It did. I'm going to just quickly end things on the New Visions Radio Network. Again, thank you for tuning in. We will, we'll see you next Sunday night with, our guest, Tommy Tombstone.
Yeah, great guy.
Will be joining us. Tommy Tombstone. And Richard, you might teach him a few things. You want to come on? Tommy Tombstone. Thank you for listening on the New Visions Radio Network, and we'll see you next Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, folks, take care. Have a good evening. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday night. Later.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
And there we go. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Everybody here on YouTube, thanks for watching. Again, we'll be back next Sunday night with Tommy Tombstone. I won't have a chance. I'm going to be busy all week, so I don't know if I'll be doing any live streams through the week. I don't know. Probably not this week because I've got a busy couple of weeks. So, but until next Sunday night, guys, take care. Jeff and Richard, thank you, buddy.
Thank you for
having me. Inviting me.
Always good to see you guys, and take care.
Take care, guys.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.